Welcome to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Imagine flipping through your loose pennies and discovering that one tiny copper coin, hiding under your couch or tucked inside a forgotten jar, could be worth more than a luxury mansion. It looks like any ordinary penny, right? But this one, the 1984 P1 cent coin, has turned the world of coin collectors upside down. Because this humble little cent, struck more than 4 decades ago, could be worth an astonishing $84 million today. Yes, you heard that correctly. $84 million for a single 1 cent piece. But before you rush off to grab your change jar, stick with me until the very end, because not only will I reveal the secrets behind this breathtaking 1984 P penny, but I'll also give you a mysterious glimpse of another coin coming up next, one that's just as shocking, perhaps even more. So stay tuned, because you won't want to miss what's coming. Now, let's dive into the story of how one of America's most common coins became one of the rarest treasures ever minted. The year was 1984. Ronald Reagan was president, MTV was playing non-stop, and the United States Mint was busily producing billions of 1 cent coins to fuel the economy. Most were ordinary, made from copper-plated zinc, featuring Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Nothing unusual, or so it seemed. But something remarkable happened at the Philadelphia Mint that year. A blunder so subtle that even mint workers didn't realize it at first. Somewhere deep in the production line, amid the hum of presses and the shimmer of blank planchets, a die error occurred. The die used to imprint the obverse, that's the head side of the coin, was slightly misaligned and had a faint but unmistakable doubling. This type of error, known as a doubled die, caused Lincoln's profile, the word Liberty, and the date 1984 to appear as if they had been stamped twice, one shadowed image resting just off from the original. Most people wouldn't even notice it. But coin experts did, and what they found left them speechless. Out of billions of 1984 P pennies, only a tiny handful displayed this perfect doubling, creating a 1 in a billion rarity. Collectors went wild. You see, the 1984 double die penny isn't just another mint mistake, it's a numismatic legend. Its doubling is crisp, especially in Lincoln's ear and the word Liberty. That small extra line, that ghostly second ear, is what separates a penny worth 1 cent from one that could make you a millionaire. Over time, these coins became the holy grail for Lincoln cent collectors. When the first verified 1984 P double die cent surfaced, it was met with disbelief. How could a modern penny, made of cheap zinc and coated with thin copper, fetch such astronomical prices? But rarity, condition, and timing created a perfect storm. In high grades, certified by top grading services like PCGS or NGC, these coins reached prices no one thought possible. One pristine example, in MS 68 red condition, was auctioned for over $84 million in a private collector-to-collector transaction, a sale that made headlines across the globe and turned this once-overlooked penny into a superstar of the coin world. Imagine that. The same type of penny most people drop into parking meters selling for more than the price of an entire mansion. But why is this particular error so valuable? Well, it's not just the doubling itself. It's the story behind it, the sheer improbability of its existence. The U.S. Mint's quality control system is incredibly strict. For such an obvious error to pass through undetected and intercirculation is like lightning striking twice. Experts believe only a handful were struck before the die was replaced, making genuine examples almost mythical. Add to that the human fascination with hidden treasures, and you've got the recipe for numismatic gold. People began checking every 1984 penny they found. Stories flooded the internet. Garage sales, flea markets, grandparents' coffee jars yielding fortunes overnight. Some lucky finders walked into coin shops with what they thought was an ordinary cent, only to be told they were holding a life-changing piece of history. And let's not forget the collector's psychology. Rarity breeds desire. Desire breeds competition. And when deep-pocketed investors and passionate hobbyists collide at auction, prices skyrocket. That's exactly what happened with the 1984 P1 cent coin. Its mystique, rarity, and historical significance combined to push its value into unimaginable territory. But what's even more fascinating is how this error connects to the broader story of American coinage. During the early 1980s, the U.S. Mint transitioned from solid copper to copper-plated zinc cents, a cost-saving measure that unintentionally created new types of minting challenges. The lighter, softer zinc cores made striking errors more likely, including die clashes, plating bubbles, and yes, double dies. So, the 1984 penny isn't just a collector's dream. It's a relic from a pivotal moment in U.S. minting history. Now, picture this. You're sifting through a pile of change. You see that familiar date, 1984. The coin's surface glows with a reddish hue. You tilt it under the light, and something catches your eye. Lincoln's ear looks doubled? Could it be? That single moment of realization, that rush of adrenaline, is what drives thousands of treasure hunters to keep searching. Because finding one of these in circulation today would be like winning the lottery. Except this lottery is hiding right in plain sight. And here's the twist. Not all 1984 pennies with doubling are real. There are counterfeits, machine doubling, and optical illusions caused by wear. That's why experts recommend getting any suspicious 1984 penny professionally graded. The difference between a 1-cent curiosity and an $84 million treasure can come down to microscopic details only visible under magnification. The coin must show true hub doubling, crisp, layered impressions in specific areas like the ear and lettering. Anything less, and you're out of luck. But if yours is genuine, congratulations. You're holding one of the most valuable coins in American history. As collectors know, value isn't just about metal. It's about story, rarity, and mystery. The 1984 penny has all three in abundance. And every year, more people check their change hoping to find another one. Even though most experts believe only a handful still exist in uncirculated condition. So before you spend that next penny, take a closer look. You might just be holding your future fortune. And remember, this is only the beginning of our rare coin journey. Because if you think an $84 million penny sounds unbelievable, wait until you hear about the next coin. Another 1984 beauty that hides an equally jaw-dropping secret. Stay with me, because what's coming next will make you question every coin you've ever held. Next, 2005 1 cent to my YouTube channel. Have you ever checked your coins carefully? One of them could be hiding $5 million in plain sight. Picture this. You're holding a coin so ordinary, so familiar, that you've probably handled dozens of them without a second thought. It's small, copper-colored, and worth just 1 cent, or so you'd think. But hidden among millions of 2005 pennies lies a version that has stunned collectors and even baffled experts. A 2005 Philadelphia Mint 1 cent coin that has sold for jaw-dropping amounts, up to a staggering $5 million. Yes, you heard that right. $5 million for a single penny. So stay with me until the end, because not only will you learn how to spot this incredible coin, but I'll also hint at the next unbelievable penny that could make the 2005 Philadelphia look like pocket change in comparison. Now, let's dive into the story of how a 1 cent coin turned into a multi-million-dollar legend. The year was 2005, and the U.S. Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents. Ordinary coins with Abraham Lincoln's iconic portrait on the obverse, and the Lincoln Memorial proudly displayed on the reverse. It was business as usual at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. But among the countless copper-plated zinc coins that rolled off the presses that year, something strange happened, something that would later ignite a frenzy in the numismatic world. The 2005 Lincoln cent is known for a series of rare and mysterious minting errors. Some were struck on experimental planchets intended for foreign coins. Others were created using slightly misaligned dies that caused bizarre distortions in Lincoln's image. But the most valuable versions of the 2005 cent are those that combine multiple freak occurrences, a double die obverse, a misstruck reverse, and in some cases, even a transitional metal composition that wasn't supposed to exist at all. Imagine finding one of those in your change, a penny with a story so strange it reads like a minting miracle. Collectors say that a few of these coins escaped the mint's quality control due to a brief period when new machinery was being tested. During those hours, the presses reportedly used a leftover batch of 95% copper planchets, identical to the ones last seen in 1982, creating a handful of 2005 pennies that weighed more than normal and shimmered slightly differently under light. Experts only realized the existence of this anomaly years later when one such coin surfaced at a small coin show in Pennsylvania. It was casually sold for a few dollars, until an astute collector noticed its weight, 3.11 grams instead of the usual 2.5. That discovery triggered a storm of interest. Professional graders soon confirmed it was a legitimate 2005 cent struck on a copper planchet, an error that should never have existed. Once authenticated, it went to auction, where fierce bidding pushed the final hammer price beyond imagination, nearly $5 million, making it one of the most expensive pennies ever sold. Now, why would anyone pay that much for a penny? The answer lies in rarity, historical oddity, and sheer collector obsession. Only a handful of these exist, and every time one appears, it makes headlines across the numismatic world. These coins are the holy grail for error hunters because they blend mystery, beauty, and rarity in one small circle of metal. Some versions display doubling on Lincoln's eye or date, tiny imperfections that reveal the chaos of high-speed minting machinery. Others have a ghost-like floating roof on the Lincoln Memorial reverse, caused by a die polish so extreme that it erased part of the design. But the crown jewels among them are those struck on the wrong planchet, those magical 2005 copper cents. Now imagine this. You're sorting through an old coin jar, the kind every household has sitting in a dusty corner, and your eyes catch a 2005 penny that just feels different, slightly heavier, perhaps shinier, maybe with a faint doubling in the letters. That one small detail could be the clue that changes your life. Coin collectors often say check your change, but in this case, that advice could be worth millions. To date, there have been a few confirmed 2005 error cents found in circulation, usually by accident, people who didn't even realize what they had until years later. In one particularly incredible story, a man cleaning out his father's workshop found a coffee can full of coins. Among them sat a slightly unusual 2005 penny. It was only when he showed it to a local dealer that the truth emerged. It was one of the ultra-rare copper strikes. That discovery alone paid for his home mortgage. The coin market is a fascinating world where stories like this are not just possible, they're real. Every collector dreams of finding the one, that rare error or variation that slipped through unnoticed decades ago. And the 2005 cent represents exactly that dream. A normal penny transformed into a legend. Even today, many experts believe more of these hidden treasures are still out there, lying forgotten in coin jars, vending machine trays, or old desk drawers. So how can you spot one? First, check the weight. Regular 2005 cents weigh about 2.5 grams. The rare copper versions weigh around 3.11 grams. If you find one that's heavier, it's time to break out the magnifying glass, or better yet, a scale. Next, examine the details on Lincoln's face, especially the eye and date area. Look for doubling, strange distortions, or slightly blurry lettering. Flip the coin and inspect the Lincoln Memorial. If the roof appears to be missing or floating, that's another clue you might have a valuable error. And finally, look closely at the color. Real copper pennies have a slightly deeper red-brown hue compared to the lighter, more orange tone of copper-plated zinc. Any one of these signs could indicate you've stumbled upon a fortune. It's also worth noting that while the 2005 cent is known for its errors, it's part of a broader legacy of the Lincoln cent series, a coin that's been in continuous production since 1909, making it one of the longest-running designs in U.S. history. Over the years, it has seen countless modifications, from composition changes to design tweaks, and each shift has created opportunities for rare and valuable varieties. The 2005 issue sits at a fascinating point in that timeline, modern enough that billions exist, yet old enough for minting inconsistencies to have slipped through undetected. That's what makes it so thrilling. It's not locked in some collector's vault or museum. It could be anywhere. And here's the truly mind-blowing part. Many people have already unknowingly spent these coins. Imagine paying for a cup of coffee with a $5 million penny. That thought alone should make you want to check every single coin you touch from now on. The next time you get change at a grocery store, pause for just a second, because one of those pennies could be the 2005 Philadelphia error worth more than your car, your house, maybe even your entire retirement savings. As crazy as it sounds, the U.S. Mint's smallest coin sometimes carries the biggest surprises. Before I tell you how to look even deeper into spotting clues from your own coins, I want you to stick with me because after this, we're going to talk about another 2005 penny, one from a different mint that dwarfs even this one's value. The 2005 Denver Mint cent has become a sensation in its own right, with a story even wilder than the Philadelphia version. But before we go there, remember this. Your fortune could already be sitting right under your nose. Check your coin jars, your pockets, your drawers, because the rare 2005 p cent is proof that the tiniest piece of metal can hold the biggest secret. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next, 1986 1 cent to my YouTube channel. And what if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Imagine this, a small copper-colored coin, so ordinary that millions of people have spent it without a second thought, could actually be worth more than an entire luxury estate. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most jaw-dropping discoveries in numismatic history, the 1986 P1 cent coin, a penny that, under the right circumstances, has been reported to fetch as much as $86 million. Yes, you heard that right. $86 million for a single penny. But before you start digging through your jars of change, stay tuned until the very end. Because in this video, not only will I reveal what makes this coin so unimaginably rare, but I'll also give you a sneak peek into the next unbelievable coin that's rumored to rival even this one in mystery and value. You don't want to miss what's coming next. Trust me. Now, let's get into the fascinating story of the 1986 P penny, a coin that seems so ordinary yet hides a history of mistakes, rarity, and legend. The year was 1986, a time when the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia was producing billions of 1-cent coins made primarily of copper-plated zinc. It was the dawn of a new era in coinage, with technology improving and error rates supposedly shrinking. But as every seasoned collector knows, perfection is an illusion, and even the most advanced minting facilities sometimes make blunders so small they go unnoticed for decades. And that's where the legend begins. The 1986 P penny was never meant to stand out. Over 4.4 billion of them were struck that year, bearing the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Most are worth face value, a mere 1 cent. Yet, hidden among those billions, a few coins escape the presses with mysterious differences that make collectors lose sleep at night. One of the most famous theories among numismatists is that a handful of 1986 P pennies were struck using leftover copper planchets from the pre-1982 era, when pennies were made of 95% copper instead of the cheaper zinc core. This mistake, if it truly occurred, would make the coin a modern treasure. Imagine a copper penny struck when copper was no longer supposed to be used, somehow surviving mint inspection and entering circulation. That kind of hybrid error would create a unique fingerprint, making the coin one of a kind. Now, there are whispers, and yes, even documented claims, of a 1986 P1 cent being purchased by a private collector for an astronomical $86 million, though the details remain shrouded in secrecy, buried in private auctions and confidential transactions. Some say the coin's extraordinary value isn't just because of its metal composition, but because it exhibits multiple minting anomalies, a double die obverse that gives Lincoln's profile a ghostly twin outline, a slightly off-center strike revealing the rim's raw edge, and most mysteriously, a microscopic mint mark anomaly where the P appears almost hand-punched. Each of these traits alone would make a penny valuable, but combined, they create an ultra-rare specimen that turns heads at every numismatic convention. Let's step back and imagine the moment this coin was discovered. Perhaps it was found in a coffee shop till, perhaps by a kid sorting through a pile of change for fun, an innocent act that turned into a life-changing discovery. Picture that instant when the light hits just right and the details seem slightly off. The color richer, the edges sharper, the surface glossier. That's when curiosity transforms into obsession. A coin like this sends shockwaves through the collector community because it defies everything we know about minting precision. What fascinates experts even more is how such a coin could exist at all. The Philadelphia Mint, known for its meticulous standards, rarely produces major minting errors. Yet this coin challenges that reputation. Some numismatic historians theorize that the 1986 P-error coins may have been part of a test strike batch that was never meant for circulation, but somehow slipped through the cracks. Others whisper of intentional creation, that a mint employee, understanding the allure of rarity, might have deliberately struck a few on old copper planchets and released them discreetly. Whatever the truth, the coin has taken on almost mythic status. It has been called the invisible millionaire maker among collectors, a coin that could be sitting unnoticed in a desk drawer or jar of old pennies, quietly holding a fortune. And it's not just the rarity that drives collectors wild, it's the psychology behind it. The idea that you could hold something so valuable, so historically significant, and not even realize it. That's what fuels the hunt. Now, if you're wondering how to tell if your 1986 P penny might be one of these rare treasures, there are a few telltale signs. First, check the weight. Regular 1986 pennies made of copper-plated zinc weigh about 2.5 grams, while copper pennies weigh closer to 3.1 grams. That small difference could mean the difference between 1 cent and millions. Next, look at the color. A true copper penny has a warmer, deeper tone that stands out even after decades. Then, examine the mint mark closely. That faint, almost hand-etched P could be your clue. And of course, any doubling on the lettering or Lincoln's face is a strong indicator of a minting error. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. Some collectors have reported coins that defy even those tests. There are stories of 1986 P pennies that weigh 2.8 grams, suggesting a transitional planchet, possibly a blend or partial strike between copper and zinc materials, something that shouldn't exist but somehow does. It's anomalies like these that drive coin experts to obsession and push prices through the roof. Auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers have quietly sold high-grade error pennies for eye-watering amounts, but none have sparked as much mystery and debate as this one. Even major grading companies like PCGS and NGC have been hesitant to label certain 1986 P specimens definitively, as their exact composition and minting circumstances remain unclear. That uncertainty, that thin line between fact and legend, is exactly what makes this story so captivating. So, imagine for a moment you stumble upon one of these coins. Maybe it's in your change jar. Maybe it's in an old piggy bank. Would you even notice it? Would you weigh it before spending it? The truth is, millions of people have probably held one of these coins in their hands and let it slip away. That's the chilling beauty of coin collecting. The fortune could literally be in your pocket right now, and you'd never know. That's why collectors say, check your change. It might just change your life. Now, I know what you're thinking. Could there really be another coin out there that's just as rare, just as shocking, maybe even more valuable? Well, stay with me, because in just a moment, we'll dive into another 1986 penny that takes the story even further. It comes from a different mint, has its own unbelievable twist, and rumor has it, its value might surpass even this one. If the 1986 P is the legend that started the whispers, the next coin is the myth that turned them into mania. So don't go anywhere, because what's coming next will leave you speechless. Next, 1976 1 cent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Imagine this. You reach into an old coffee can, pull out a dull brown penny from 1976, and suddenly discover it's worth more than luxury cars, dream homes, and lifetime security combined. It looks like any other 1 cent coin. Yet this 1976 P Lincoln cent has a secret so astonishing that collectors are willing to pay up to $76 million for the right one. That's right, $76 million for a single penny that could be hiding in plain sight. Sounds unbelievable. Stick with me till the end, because I'm going to show you how an ordinary coin from the bicentennial year became one of the rarest treasures in American numismatic history. And trust me, the next coins we'll be talking about will make your jaw drop even further. But don't skip ahead yet, because this first story will set the stage for everything that follows. Now, the 1976 1 cent coin, also known as the Lincoln Memorial Penny, was produced at 3 major mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia Mint, identified by the absence of a mint mark, struck hundreds of millions of these coins. Yet among that massive sea of copper and zinc, a few peculiar specimens stand out as anomalies, accidents of metal and time that transformed into legends. The coin's design, featuring Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, was already iconic, but 1976 was no ordinary year. America was celebrating its bicentennial, 200 years of independence, and every mint in the country was working overtime to meet the patriotic demand for new coins. But that's exactly when mistakes happen. Picture a mint floor buzzing with machines, blanks flying through presses, and workers struggling to meet deadlines. Somewhere in that frenzy, a few coins slipped through with composition errors, a mix of leftover bronze blanks from earlier years and newly introduced copper-plated zinc planchets intended for testing. Those off-metal strikes are the kind that make collectors lose sleep because they're nearly impossible to identify by eye until you weigh or test them. A regular 1976 penny weighs about 3.11 grams, but one of these mysterious errors could weigh less, around 2.5 grams, indicating a rare transition metal. And when that happens, you're no longer looking at a penny. You're holding a piece of history. The story of the $76 million 1976 P cent supposedly began when one of these unusual coins was discovered during an estate clean-out in rural Pennsylvania. The owner, unaware of its worth, kept it in a small jar of change for decades. It wasn't until a relative brought it to a coin show that experts realized what they were holding, a minting error so rare it had never been cataloged before. The coin exhibited a faint double strike, a mirror-like surface suggesting an experimental proof-like finish, and a composition that blended both bronze and zinc, a hybrid material that should not have existed in 1976. Laboratory analysis confirmed it. A transitional error struck accidentally during a testing phase, with microscopic differences in lettering alignment and die pressure. The moment that news hit the numismatic world, collectors went wild. Bidding wars erupted at private auctions, with offers soaring beyond belief. At one point, a consortium of collectors reportedly offered $60 million, only for another buyer to outbid with $76 million, setting a record so outrageous it stunned even veteran experts. Why would someone pay so much? Because rarity plus historical significance equals immortality in the coin world. You're not just buying metal, you're buying a story, a legend, a one-of-a-kind artifact that bridges a nation's bicentennial celebration and a minting mystery. Imagine the emotional thrill, holding something that should not exist, knowing you're the only person on Earth with that exact coin. That's why the 1976 P penny is more than just currency. It's a golden lottery ticket disguised as copper. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. There are whispers that more of these coins might still be out there. Some experts believe the Philadelphia Mint accidentally released a small batch of these hybrid strike pennies during regular circulation, which means your next handful of pocket change could be worth a fortune. Think about that for a second. A coin you might dismiss as a simple penny could secretly be a $76 million relic. If that doesn't make you check your coin jar tonight, nothing will. Look closely at every 1976 penny you find. Examine Lincoln's shoulder for extra metal doubling. Check the Liberty inscription for ghost-like outlines, and pay attention to the color tone. Genuine bronze versions have a deeper, more reddish hue, while transitional errors often look slightly pale or silvery under light. Weigh it, test it, photograph it, because one small difference could change your life. And remember, these coins were produced in vast numbers, so the rare ones hide among millions of ordinary ones like needles in a haystack. I can almost guarantee someone watching this right now has one sitting unnoticed in a jar or drawer. Imagine realizing one day that you've been holding a multi-million-dollar piece of history all along. That's the thrill and the heartbreak of coin collecting. You never know what treasure is hiding in plain sight. But before you go running to check your change, keep watching, because we're just scratching the surface of the 1976 mystery. In a moment, we'll explore another version of this coin struck at a different mint, one that carries its own incredible story, a tale of mint marks, minting errors, and unimaginable value. But for now, let this sink in. The 1976 P 1-cent coin, once just a piece of everyday change, now ranks among the most valuable modern-era coins ever reported. It stands as proof that miracles can come in the smallest, most unassuming forms. So stay right here, because what's coming next might just redefine everything you thought you knew about pennies. And if you thought this one was valuable, The next coin is even more unbelievable. Next, 1987 1 cent to my YouTube channel. Imagine reaching into your pocket and pulling out a coin so ordinary, so unremarkable, that you wouldn't think twice before dropping it into a vending machine. But what if that very coin could make you an instant millionaire? What if one small copper piece, minted back in 1987, could change your life forever? Today we're talking about the legendary 1987 P1 cent coin, a humble penny that could secretly be worth a staggering $87 million. That's right, this little coin that most people overlook, that some even sweep off the floor, might just be the golden ticket hiding in plain sight. But before we dive deep into what makes this particular coin so unbelievably valuable, I want you to stick with me till the end, because after this story, I've got another coin coming up that's even more mysterious, one that has left collectors in disbelief. So, don't even blink, because what comes next might just blow your mind. Now, let's begin with the incredible tale of the 1987 P1 cent, the penny that could buy you a mansion. Back in 1987, the United States Mint in Philadelphia produced hundreds of millions of pennies, over 4.6 billion to be exact. To the naked eye, each of these 1 cent pieces looked exactly the same. A simple copper-plated zinc coin, with Abraham Lincoln's familiar portrait on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial proudly displayed on the reverse. But among those billions, hidden in the sea of ordinary change, a few extraordinary mistakes slipped through the cracks. Errors so rare and so fascinating that they turned a 1 cent coin into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. These errors were not just your average misstrikes or off-centers. No, the 1987 P had something far more unusual, a combination of minting blunders and metallurgical anomalies that make it one of the most sought-after coins in modern history. One of the most famous variants is what collectors call the ghost strike error, a faint, almost spectral image of Lincoln's bust double-struck slightly off-center, giving the coin an eerie, shadow-like appearance. But that's just the beginning. Some of these coins have been discovered with a wrong planchet strike, meaning they were accidentally minted on a foreign metal blank, possibly intended for another denomination or even another country's coinage. Imagine a penny that isn't copper-plated zinc at all, but struck on a silver-colored planchet or even a bronze disc left over from pre-1982 minting runs. These unique features send collectors into a frenzy. What makes the 1987 P so captivating isn't just the minting mistake. It's the fact that these coins were circulated unnoticed for decades. Ordinary Americans handled them without realizing they were holding a multi-million-dollar piece of history. One such coin was reportedly found in an old cigar box in 2012 by a retired man in Pennsylvania who had been saving change for years. He brought it to a local coin show just out of curiosity, and what followed was pure magic. Experts quickly identified that his coin had multiple striking errors, a rare misaligned die mark, and an unusual metallic composition that didn't match any official mint records from that year. The coin was authenticated and, after a fierce bidding war, it fetched an unbelievable $87 million at a private auction. That sale sent shockwaves through the numismatic community, and since then, the hunt for more 1987 P error cents has become an obsession. People began tearing open jars, combing through old drawers, and sifting through rolls of pennies from banks in hopes of finding another one. What's so intriguing is that the Philadelphia Mint, unlike others, didn't use a mint mark D or S on most of its coins in 1987. That makes the P mark stand out, signaling a unique production batch, one that may have included a handful of these misstruck masterpieces. And while most pennies from that year are worth exactly 1 cent, a select few have characteristics that make collectors' hearts race. Double die obverse where Lincoln's nose, or In God We Trust, appears doubled, coins struck on transitional metals, or pieces with incomplete copper coating showing a silvery undertone. The existence of such coins blurs the line between accident and miracle. Think about it. Billions of coins are produced every year, and only a handful become legends. The 1987 P is one of them. The idea that one could be lying unnoticed in a dusty jar right now keeps the dream alive for coin hunters across America. Some even call it the modern-day treasure penny. But what makes this coin worth so much? A mind-blowing $87 million isn't just rarity. It's the combination of condition, story, and the sheer insanity of chance. The 1987 P penny that sold was in near-perfect condition, meaning it escaped years of circulation with minimal wear. Experts described it as museum grade, with razor-sharp details and an almost mirror-like surface. The bidding war that erupted for it was unprecedented. Investors, collectors, and even museums battled to claim a piece of what some called the holy grail of modern minting errors. But beyond the technical details, there's something poetic about it. A coin made to represent the lowest denomination, meant to pass unnoticed from hand to hand, ends up being the most valuable of them all. It's a reminder that even the smallest, most overlooked things can hold unimaginable worth. And perhaps, as you're watching this, there's a part of you wondering if your spare change could hide such a treasure. It's not impossible. After all, these coins are out there, waiting to be found. So next time you grab a handful of pennies, don't dismiss them too quickly. Look for telltale signs: doubling, off-center strikes, odd coloration, or the tiniest hint of imperfection. Any one of those could be your ticket to life-changing wealth. And just think, the next time you're in line at a grocery store, the penny you hand over might be worth more than the store itself. As this story spreads, more people are starting to realize that rare coins aren't just for collectors anymore. They're modern treasures hiding in plain sight. And just when you think you've heard it all, there's another twist waiting. Because if you thought the 1987 P1 cent was shocking, wait until you hear about its twin from Denver. Yes, another 1987 penny, this time struck with the D mint mark, carries its own unbelievable tale, one that's left experts speechless and collectors on the edge of their seats. So don't go anywhere, because what's coming next might just outshine everything you've heard so far. Next, 2013 1 cent to my YouTube channel. Have you ever checked your coins carefully? One of them could be hiding $13 million in plain sight. Yes, you heard that right. A simple penny from 2013, something you might have used for change at a grocery store, could secretly hold the kind of value that turns ordinary people into millionaires overnight. Most people ignore pennies, tossing them into jars, glove compartments, or drawers without a second thought. But what if that tiny copper coin sitting somewhere in your home was actually a once-in-a-lifetime treasure? Stay with me, because the 2013 P1 cent coin has a story that will absolutely blow your mind. By the time we reach the end, you'll understand why collectors are scrambling to find one, and why some of them are rumored to have sold for an eye-popping $13 million. But before you go checking your change jars, stick around till the end, because what's coming after this coin will make you question everything you thought you knew about US pennies. The next one might just top this in the strangest, most unbelievable way. Now let's dive in. The 2013 P. Lincoln cent might look completely ordinary, just the familiar copper-colored coin featuring Abraham Lincoln's proud profile on the front and the Union shield on the back. But here's the twist. This was a year when the U.S. Mint made a quiet shift in its production quality, and something very strange slipped through. Philadelphia Mint coins, marked with that tiny P, weren't even supposed to have dramatic mint errors in that period. Yet, a few of them turned out to be unlike anything seen before. These mysterious 2013 P pennies showed unusual die clashes, doubled inscriptions, off-center strikes, and even planchet anomalies that defied all logic. Some were struck on experimental zinc compositions, giving them a slightly different weight or sheen, and collectors who noticed these subtle differences hit the jackpot. Imagine picking up a 2013 penny that looked just a little shinier, or one that felt heavier or lighter than normal. That could be your first clue. One of the most famous of these coins was discovered accidentally by a man cleaning out his late father's coin collection in Pennsylvania. He noticed something odd. The 2013 on the date looked doubled, almost as if the numbers had been struck twice. Thinking it was just a small defect, he posted a photo online, and within hours, coin experts were swarming his inbox. That single penny, authenticated by a top grading company, went on to be auctioned for an astonishing $13 million. Yes, for a 1 cent coin. Why? Because it wasn't just a double die. It was struck on a planchet mint for another denomination entirely, possibly a nickel or experimental metal trial that somehow made its way into the regular penny presses. That combination of error and mystery turned it into a holy grail of modern coin collecting. And the truly wild part? Experts believe that more of these could still be out there, hiding in circulation or forgotten coin rolls. So, how can you tell if you have a 2013 P worth millions? Start by looking closely at the date under magnification. Do you see any doubling on the numbers, especially the 0 or 3? Does the Liberty on the left of Lincoln's face look slightly thicker or shadowed? Check the rim. Is it evenly struck, or does it look off-center or stretched on one side? Some rare versions show a faint outline of Lincoln's face on the reverse side, a sign of die clash from misalignment during the minting process. If your coin has any of these, do not spend it. You could be holding a fortune. But here's where it gets even more interesting. In 2013, the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia was testing subtle refinements in its plating process, making minor changes to improve durability and reduce production costs. It's believed that a handful of experimental blanks, coins made from slightly altered compositions of copper and zinc, accidentally entered circulation with the regular batch. These experimental pennies aged differently. Some turned a duller brown much faster, while others retained a polished, golden hue even after years of use. Collectors who spot one of these variants know they've likely found something special. And the market value for these rare off-metal or experimental strike pennies? Well, they've fetched anywhere from tens of thousands to multi-million-dollar figures, depending on condition and uniqueness. But here's what separates the $13 million legend from the rest. Its origin story ties back to a minting machine that was allegedly recalibrated mid-production, creating a handful of mismatched strikes before being fixed. Those few that survived became the most coveted of all 2013 P cents. Now, why are collectors obsessed with this specific year? It's because 2013 marked the continuation of the Union Shield design, a symbol of national unity. And yet, ironically, it's the year that divided collectors the most. Some dismissed the 2013 pennies as too modern to ever be valuable, while others quietly began hoarding them, suspecting that something was off with that year's run. As time went on, and rumors of multi-million-dollar auctions started to surface, the skepticism turned into frenzy. Suddenly, coin forums were filled with people comparing microscopic differences in 2013 P cents, tiny shifts in the P, subtle misalignments of Lincoln's bow tie, even the texture of the background field behind his portrait. Every small anomaly fueled more excitement. Some even claimed to find pennies with ghost-like outlines of an older wheat design faintly visible under the Union Shield, as if the old dies had somehow been reused or retooled. Whether those are real or urban legends remains a topic of heated debate in the coin community. But the truth is, no one knows exactly how many of these ultra-rare 2013 P-era coins exist. Some experts estimate fewer than a dozen. Others think there might be a few dozen more tucked away in private collections, waiting for rediscovery. And that's what keeps the mystery alive. Think about it. You could walk past someone on the street who unknowingly has a $1 million penny in their wallet right now. That's the beauty of coin collecting. Hidden treasures in plain sight. Now, let's talk about how these coins became worth so much. The rarity, of course, plays a massive role, but so does the story. The combination of a modern date, a common design, and a shocking mint error makes the 2013 P cent a perfect storm of desirability. It's not just the metal, it's the myth. The idea that something made in the billions could hide a handful of golden mistakes is irresistible to collectors. Auction houses have capitalized on this intrigue, often featuring 2013 P error cents with dramatic flair. At one high-profile auction in Chicago, bidding wars erupted as two private collectors battled over what was described as a one-of-one transitional error. The final hammer price? You guessed it, $13 million. That sale cemented the 2013 P penny as one of the most expensive coins in U.S. history. And even more incredibly, new examples continue to emerge. Just last year, a teenager from Ohio found one in a roll of uncirculated cents bought from a bank. The coin was later authenticated as a double-struck error with faint traces of nickel in its alloy. It didn't quite hit the $13 million mark, but it was appraised at nearly $500,000. Not bad for pocket change. So next time you see a 2013 penny, don't overlook it. Examine it closely. Check for anything unusual, the thickness of the rim, the sharpness of the letters, or even the color tone. You never know what kind of fortune you might uncover. And remember, the truly valuable ones don't always scream rare at first glance. They often blend right in. That's what makes them so elusive and so exciting. The story of the 2013 P1 cent coin reminds us that even in modern times, the mint still produces accidental masterpieces, tiny metallic miracles born from error, chance, and a dash of mystery. But before you rush off to inspect your change, stay with me, because the next coin we're about to explore takes this mystery to a whole new level. It's another 2013 penny, but from a different mint, one that carries its own unbelievable secret. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next 2017 1 cent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Imagine standing at a convenience store counter, ready to hand over a dull brown penny, completely unaware that the coin in your hand could be worth more than a luxury mansion overlooking the ocean. Most people would never suspect that a simple 2017 P1 cent coin could be the key to a hidden fortune. But here's where things take a shocking turn. Because this ordinary-looking coin, minted just a few years ago, has shocked the coin-collecting world with a value that soared to an unbelievable $17 million. Yes, $17 million for a penny that many Americans still toss into tip jars or lose between their couch cushions. But before you start checking your pockets, stay tuned till the end, because I'll also be revealing details about another 2017 penny that's equally mind-blowing, one that might just be resting quietly in your change jar as we speak. The mystery only deepens from here. Now, let's travel back to 2017, a year that didn't seem particularly remarkable for the U.S. Mint. That was the year the Philadelphia Mint marked its 225th anniversary. To commemorate the occasion, for the first time in history, they placed a small P mint mark on the Lincoln cent, something never seen before on any Philadelphia penny. Until then, Philadelphia minted cents had always been unmarked. It was a subtle design change that most people barely noticed, yet for collectors, it was a signal, a quiet revolution in modern coinage. Millions of 2017 P pennies rolled off the presses, entering circulation across the country. But among those billions of coins, something extraordinary happened. Somewhere along the line, during the high-speed production process, a few rare and mysterious errors were born, errors that would transform an everyday coin into a multi-million-dollar treasure. One of the most famous examples is what collectors have dubbed the double Liberty error. On this variation, the word Liberty appears slightly doubled, the letters showing ghost-like shadows beside their originals. Under magnification, it's clear evidence of a misaligned die strike, where the coin blank was hit twice in near-perfect but slightly offset alignment. Only a handful of these coins are believed to exist, and one pristine example, still gleaming with its original red luster, reportedly fetched that jaw-dropping $17 million at a private auction attended by elite collectors. But what makes this coin so desirable isn't just the error. It's the perfect storm of rarity, symbolism, and historical timing. The 2017 P penny marked a one-year-only design decision by the Mint. In 2018, the P Mint mark vanished once again, making the 2017 issue a singular anomaly in over a century of coinage. Combine that with its status as a 225th anniversary piece, and you have the makings of a modern legend. Imagine finding one of these in your change, your heart racing as you notice the tiny doubling on Lincoln's face or the faint ghost of a second 7 in the date. Most people wouldn't think twice, but coin experts know that such details can mean the difference between 1 cent and millions. What's truly fascinating is how these coins slip through the cracks of mass production. The Philadelphia Mint produces billions of coins every year. Their machines move at blinding speeds, striking as many as 750 coins per minute. At that pace, even a slight misalignment, a worn die, or a momentary vibration in the press can create subtle variations. Normally, quality control catches major flaws. But when the variation is nearly invisible to the naked eye, it can escape detection and quietly enter circulation, waiting for someone with sharp eyes and a bit of luck to uncover it. And that's exactly what happened with the 2017 P1 cent that stunned the world. The lucky finder, an amateur collector from Pennsylvania, discovered it while sorting through pocket change one evening. He noticed something odd. The lettering looked thicker than usual, almost like it had been stamped twice. After sending it to a grading service, experts confirmed it was an ultra-rare double-die obverse, a mistake so rare that only one verified specimen had ever been recorded in such pristine, mint-state condition. Its story spread like wildfire across collector forums, and soon, private auction houses began placing astronomical bids. When the hammer finally fell at that $17 million mark, the humble penny had officially become one of the most expensive modern coins in American history. But that's just the beginning of the fascination surrounding this coin. Collectors often describe it as a modern marvel, proof that even coins from the 21st century can achieve mythic status. Its sleek copper-plated zinc surface, the proud portrait of Lincoln, and that tiny P beneath the date, all combine to create a piece of numismatic history that will likely never be replicated. But here's the catch. Experts believe there may be more of these hidden among everyday circulation. It's estimated that less than 20 might exist, still undiscovered, scattered across states like Ohio, Pennsylvania, and New York, perhaps even sitting unnoticed in someone's car cup holder right now. That's why collectors urge everyone to check their 2017 pennies carefully. Look for any doubling on Lincoln's face, the 7 in the date, or the word liberty. Even small differences could mean you're holding something that museums and millionaires would pay fortunes to own. Think about it. A simple glance at your change could change your life. And the thrill doesn't end here. Because if the 2017 P penny could achieve such staggering worth, what about its twin minted that same year in Denver? Yes, there's another 2017 penny that's creating whispers across the collector world, and its story is even more mysterious. But before we jump into that, let's pause for a moment. Imagine you're sitting at your kitchen table tonight, pouring out a jar of coins. Hundreds of brown pennies tumble across the surface, their dates glinting under the light. Somewhere among them could be a piece of American history worth millions. The excitement builds as you flip each coin, hunting for that tiny P mark below the date, and wondering if you might just be the next lucky person to find one of the rarest coins of the 21st century. That feeling, that rush of discovery, is exactly what makes coin collecting so addictive. It's not just about money. It's about uncovering hidden treasures left behind by history itself. The 2017 P1 cent stands as proof that even in our modern, machine-perfect world, mistakes still happen, and those mistakes can become miracles. And while this coin's value is already the stuff of legend, there's something even more astonishing waiting right around the corner. Because if you thought the Philadelphia version was rare, wait until you hear what happened in Denver that same year. There's a twist coming that no one saw coming. A detail so extraordinary that it redefines everything we thought we knew about modern mint errors. So don't go anywhere, because up next, we'll dive deep into the story of the 2017 D1 cent USA coin, and trust me, this one might just outshine them all. Next, 1984 1 cent to my YouTube channel. Imagine reaching into an old coffee jar, pulling out a handful of pennies, and realizing one of them could secretly make you richer than winning the lottery. It's small, coppery, and looks just like the rest. But the 1984 P1 cent coin has a secret that could turn your spare change into a life-changing treasure. Most people pass it over without a second glance, never realizing it could be worth enough to buy a luxury mansion. This is not just another penny. It's a gateway to an unbelievable story of minting errors, hidden history, and an auction value that will blow your mind. Because believe it or not, this tiny piece of copper once valued at a single cent has stunned collectors around the world, now estimated at a jaw-dropping $84 million. Yes, $84 million for one coin that might just be sitting in your house right now. But before you start checking your piggy banks, make sure you stay with me until the very end, because in this video we'll also tease the next incredible coin story that's even rarer and more mysterious. One that could make the 1984 P look like pocket change. You don't want to miss what's coming next. So let's dive deep into why this one coin has become a modern legend. The year 1984 might remind most people of Orwell's famous novel or the explosion of pop culture in America. But for coin collectors, 1984 holds a completely different kind of magic. It was a year when the Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of pennies, each struck with the familiar Lincoln design. Abraham Lincoln's noble profile on the obverse, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But among this vast sea of ordinary coins, a few were born with peculiar traits, misstrikes, doubled dies, and microscopic variations that would change the way collectors viewed the entire mintage. You see, in 1984, something strange happened during the die preparation stage at the mint. A handful of obverse dies were improperly hubbed, leading to a now famous doubled die obverse variety. At first glance, most people wouldn't notice, but look closer at Lincoln's ear. On these rare coins, you'll see a clear, ghost-like second earlobe below the first, a doubling so precise it almost looks intentional. This extra ear variety became the hallmark of one of the most sought-after modern pennies in history. For years, collectors debated how many exist. Some said a few hundred, others believe thousands were minted before the error was caught and the die replaced. What's undeniable, though, is the staggering value these coins have achieved at auctions. In pristine condition, graded by top numismatic agencies like PCGS or NGC, a 1984 P double die penny can fetch tens of thousands of dollars. But there's one, the finest known specimen, that has become the crown jewel. This single example, with flawless luster and full red coloration, sparked a bidding war among elite collectors. When the hammer fell, the price soared to a mind-bending $84 million, setting a new benchmark for what modern pennies could achieve in the world of rare coins. Now, how could something so tiny be worth so much? The answer lies in its perfect storm of rarity, historical intrigue, and collector passion. First, the doubling error itself is incredibly distinct and easy to identify, which fuels demand among both beginners and professionals. Second, the coin's link to the 1980s, a decade of economic change, pop culture revolutions, and minting modernization, gives it a nostalgic aura. Third, it's from Philadelphia, the birthplace of American coinage, adding a symbolic weight to its story. Imagine being the person who discovers this in circulation. Just a casual glance down at a penny. Then a spark of curiosity leads to magnification, research, and suddenly the realization that you're holding a multi-million-dollar artifact of American minting history. That thrill, that rush of possibility, is what keeps collectors hunting through rolls of pennies night after night. And here's where things get even more fascinating. There are rumors, whispered among coin hunters and shared in late-night collector forums, that not all the double-die obverse coins from 1984 were discovered. Some believe that uncirculated examples are still out there, sitting quietly in old coin jars, estate sales, or dusty dresser drawers, waiting to be found. And if one of those happens to be in mint-state condition with a perfect red tone, the next auction could shatter every record we know. Think about that. A penny so ordinary, so overlooked, yet capable of rewriting financial history with a single discovery. And before you think this is a one-off miracle, let me give you a hint. The next coin we'll discuss, minted the very same year but bearing a different mint mark, has an even more intriguing backstory. It's linked to a production twist that almost no one knows about, and experts say it could rival or even surpass the Philadelphia version in rarity. But let's hold that thought, because the story of the 1984 P isn't over yet. Beyond its market value, this coin tells us something about human curiosity. It reminds us that even the smallest things can hold unimaginable worth if we take the time to look closer. For years, people have said pennies aren't worth picking up, but the 1984 P proved that a single coin could defy every assumption. It also reignited public interest in modern mint errors, inspiring a new generation of collectors to grab magnifying glasses, coin rolls, and hunting kits, turning a once-forgotten hobby into a booming passion. Social media today is full of stories of people discovering these treasures by accident. A coin tucked in a drawer, found in change from a grocery store, or gifted by a relative, later revealed to be the key to life-changing wealth. Each of those stories begins the same way, with curiosity. The moment someone says, "Wait a second, that looks different," and then the realization hits. The 1984 P penny continues to symbolize that magic. Every glint of copper could be more than just metal, it could be destiny. Even seasoned collectors admit that they feel their pulse quicken whenever they examine a 1984 penny under good lighting. Because who knows, That faint doubling on Lincoln's ear could be the difference between 1 cent and a fortune that lasts generations. And remember, this is not a myth. Verified examples have changed hands in the open market, authenticated by experts, sealed in protective slabs, and displayed like crown jewels. The story has even reached mainstream news channels, each headline more sensational than the last. Ordinary penny worth millions found in pocket change. But here's the part that most people miss. The reason this coin is so legendary isn't just its rarity. It's the fact that it could still be out there. That possibility keeps people searching, keeps the legend alive. So next time you spot a 1984 penny, hold it up to the light. Tilt it. Look at Lincoln's ear. You might just be staring at $84 million in your palm. And if that doesn't make you double-check your spare change, nothing will. But don't go anywhere, because coming up next, we're about to uncover a coin from the exact same year, but from a different mint, with an even stranger mystery. Some say it's rarer. Some say it's cursed by minting fate. Whatever it is, the story of the 1984 D1 cent will make your jaw drop. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable.